Hey everyone, so I'm back again with another video. This time around I have another collection to show you guys. This time I'm going to be showing you guys my PS3 collection. That is my PS3 game collection. I have one PAL game, no Japanese games, a good stack of North American games, and two collector's editions as well. Actually, three collector's editions, and let's get right to it. So the first game I have here is Afro Samurai. Got this from a Value Village. Actually, haven't played it yet. I mostly grabbed it because it was uh, based on, well, it's Afro Samurai, so I had to go ahead and grab that. Next is Assassin's Creed and Assassin's Creed Revelations. I've played parts of both of these, but I mean, at the end, I don't think I'm all that interested in the Assassin's Creed game series. Next is Bioshock, but I do not have Bioshock 2 or Bioshock Infinite. I actually have both of them downloaded on my PlayStation, but I don't have the physical copy of either of those games. Next is Book of Spells, but I believe this is called Wonder Book of Spells. Not entirely sure. It came with my PlayStation Move, so that's why I have that. Next is Borderlands. I've played some of this game, pretty much just the opening bit, but I have been kind of interested in getting around to playing it more. I know it's definitely a good series, Borderlands and Borderlands 2, but I just haven't found the time to really get into this game. Next is Brink. I found this dirt cheap. I thought I'd give it a chance. I was greatly disappointed, and I have never played this game again. Next is a game in a series that I don't really like, but I got this game because it was pretty much free. I actually traded a game that I paid $1 for to get this. It's Call of Duty Ghosts. I bought it brand new. Well, I got it brand new during the Best Buy Future Shop promotion that was going on back when this game came out last November. But I haven't really played this game because I didn't really intend on getting it in the first place. Next is a game I actually picked up recently, Castlevania Lords of Shadow. I have not played any of the Castlevania games other than the NES games. So, well, the NES and the Game Boy games. But, I don't know, I should put some effort into the 3D Castlevania games. But I think I'm going to be better off with just the side-scrolling Castlevania games. Next is a pretty interesting platformer that I actually really like. It's kind of goofy, kind of weird, and really hard at sometimes. It's Catherine. There's a Xbox 360 version as well, and a collector's edition, but I don't have either of those. I have just the PS3 game on its own. Next is a game I didn't even realize that I owned it, and I don't think I will be playing it anytime soon. It's Dark Sector. If you think I should get around to playing this, please let me know. Please change my mind about it. Otherwise, I don't actually think I'll be playing this anytime soon. Next up is Dragon Ball Raging Blast and Raging Blast 2. All I can really say about these is that the game controlled kind of difficult. It was like difficult to control, I should say, both of them. But at least this one here had an interesting remake to Dragon Ball Plan to Eradicate the Super Saiyans. Basically, it had a movie included as well. Just a short movie, but a movie nonetheless. Next is an RPG that I have not played yet. I got it really, really cheap, so I thought, why not? Maybe I'll get around to playing it later, but with RPGs, you pretty much need to finish them in one shot, pretty much not be distracted by any other games while you're playing them, to be fully immersed in the game. So that's why I haven't really gotten around to playing this, because it's not really on the top of my games list. It's Eternal Sonata. If you think that I should devote some time to it soon, please let me know. As you can probably tell, the PS3 really isn't one of my favorite systems. I actually picked it up at the beginning of 2012, so that's 6 years after it first was launched. So I was a very late adopter of the PS3. I had my PS2 and was using it. Even up to now, I still use my PS2, but I was using my PS2 as my main console for a significant time. Next up is Fear 2 Project Origin. I played probably about an hour of this game, and I have to say, I am a little scaredy cat. I don't know, I was way too easily scared by this game, even when I was expecting the little girl to pop up or something else to happen that would scare me, like just a standard jump scare. In movies, those don't really scare me, but for some reason, being more immersed in whatever you're experiencing, so actually playing this game and controlling a character in the environment, it makes me even more scared, so it's kind of difficult for me to play. Next up is Fist of the North Star, Ken's Rage. I have this for the PS3 and for the 360. I wish I also had Ken's Rage 2, but for some reason that's still a pretty expensive game. This one was pretty cheap, and I have to say it was at least kind of entertaining. And I do like Fist of the North Star, so it was a no-brainer for me. Next, a game that any PS3 owner should probably have. It's the God of War collection, God of War and God of War 2, for the PS3, of course, because both those games were originally released on the PS2, and these are updated versions of it. And the PS3 did that often. Well, Sony did that often for the PS3, where lots and lots of HD collections were released on the system. Next up is Grand Theft Auto episodes from Liberty City. I also have Grand Theft Auto 4 installed on my PS3. Next is a game that I disliked playing, but I enjoyed watching. The story was kind of decent. I like how it all played out, but the ending just bothered me so much, because I still haven't been able to play this in a way where I'm able to save all the characters and finish the story with the best possible outcome. It's Heavy Rain, and this is the director's cut version. It's also Greatest Hits, and I played this using the motion controls for part of it, and for the other part, I just used the standard button QuickTime events. Even the QuickTime events during the motion control are using motion control, but I switched throughout the game just to sort of experience both ends of it. Next up is Little Big Planet and Little Big Planet Karting. I've played Little Big Planet a whole lot, even on the PSP, and Little Big Planet Karting, I haven't played all that much of it because, to be honest, it was just a little bland for my liking in terms of cartoony kart racers. Oh. Next is a game that's just really goofy. I kind of enjoyed it, but it's really not that great of a game. Some people will disagree because there's a following behind this game, but it's Lollipop Chainsaw, and I would say just the premise of this is kind of ridiculous, and the fact that like all the women in our family are ridiculously attractive, just kind of bothersome. But I did enjoy the gameplay. Just I don't really know all that much about the story because I really haven't played too much of this game. I really have a hard time finishing games, but I do enjoy playing them while I do. It probably goes back to the fact that when I had my PS2, when I first got my PS2, for the first, let's see, like 7 years that I had my PS2, I didn't actually own a memory card. So every time I played any game, I always started it back from the beginning. So it was just like playing an older cartridge game with no saves on it, just constantly playing it again and again from the beginning, trying to get further and further into the game every time. It probably wasn't the best way to play, but I mean, I still had fun with it. Next up is Mass Effect 2. I don't have Mass Effect 1 or 3, so I haven't really played this one yet. When I do get Mass Effect and Mass Effect 3, I will go ahead and play the series all the way through. Next is Metal Gear Solid 4, Guns of the Patriots, tactical espionage action. I don't know. My main story with the PS3 is I've purchased some games because they're dirt cheap, and I've considered playing them, but there's always some other game that I want to play even more often. Um, and Metal Gear Solid 4 has been one of those games that sort of just fell down my list of priorities. Next is a game I picked up recently. The soundtrack for this game is really good. It has a pretty extensive amount of options, I suppose, within the game. There's 30, let's see, 30 unique upgradable weapons and 8 powerful magic spells. And basically, whatever the game is called Nier. It's for the PS3. It's also on the Xbox 360. If you think I should bump this up on my list and play it really soon, please let me know, and I'll get around to putting more effort into this game. Next is a game that I've enjoyed vicariously through others. I have played part of it myself, but I also own the DS version of this game, the DS Japanese version of this game, just because it had an interesting collector's edition. But the game itself is Ni no Kuni: Wrath of the White Witch. I know it's a great game, and it's made by the same people that make Professor Layton, and I really want to like this game, but I just can't get too into it. Next up is a fighting game, which I like, but it's from a series of games that I don't have much experience with. It's Persona 4 Arena, and hopefully I can get more into it and get prepared for the new Persona 4 Arena Ultimate Edition or something else that's coming out later this year. Next is my only PAL game. I believe it's playable here, but I'm not entirely sure. It's Prince of Persia Trilogy. It's, like I mentioned before, another HD collection game. So, I don't know. Prince of Persia: Sands of Time I liked the most out of the 3 of these games. Where Within and Two Thrones, kind of disappointing, and I didn't really play much of them after the first few hours. Next is probably one of the worst Resident Evil games ever, Resident Evil 5. I'll just leave it at that. Next is another game that got really cheap, but it's a first-person shooter. Just not really my kind of game. I probably should have just left this on the shelf. But again, it was dirt cheap. Resistance: Fall of Man. Yeah, that's about all I have to say for that. Next up is a game that actually came in a big box set. It's Skylanders Spyro's Adventure, just the first Skylanders game. I have the complete starter set. I played several hours of this game, but I had to stop myself before I got completely drawn in and went overboard collecting all the different figures. I've seen so many people get drawn into this and start collecting the figures, and I just don't have the room to support something like that, nor do I really want to get into something like that. Just a couple more games here to show you guys. Sorry, this video is running a little bit late, so I'll try to speed it up. Next up, Soul Calibur 4. Not much to say about that. Fighting game, Soul Calibur series is pretty decent, but it's wavered in the last few years. So, again, not much to say. Star Wars characters. Next is a game that I've actually completed all the way through, gotten all the collectibles, purchased nearly everything in the game as well, and I actually finished this in just a few days. I think altogether I spent maybe like 20 hours playing this game, and I completed absolutely everything. It was just amazing. But it's South Park: The Stick of Truth, and it was the signature edition. Not entirely sure why it's called that. I think it was called like the Wizard something edition. It came with the sort of vinyl figure, the Kid Robot figure of the Wizard Cartman, the Grand Wizard KKK something Cartman. It was an interesting set. It just kind of sucks that the game was so delayed, and also EB Games upped the price on this between the time of pre-order and the time that the game came out, so that kind of sucked as well. Next is a game that I picked up recently, Tales of Symphonia Chronicles. I want to buy, what's it called, Dawn of the New World for the Wii. I have Tales of Symphonia for the GameCube. I really like that game. I've played a decent amount of it. But yeah, I thought since I didn't have Dawn of the New World and this was on a pretty good sale at a store, they only wanted $16.99 for it, and they were doing buy one get one free that day, so I went ahead and picked this up. Next is You Draw Studio Instant Artist. I think I paid $10 or something for the set with the controller. It's just a very bland art game. Next is Uncharted 3, Drake's Deception, and this is the Game of the Year edition, and I have to say that I am really good at the Uncharted games, but terrible at the Tomb Raider games, and they're pretty much the same game, but for some reason I am a lot better, like I said, at the Uncharted games, especially Golden Abyss. I finished that in nearly one night. It was really bad. Of course, I had it set on the lowest difficulty when I played that game, but still the fact that I finished it in one night was just crazy to me. And the last standard edition game that I have is Virtua Fighter 5. I think it's interesting that all these fighting games, even though they're constantly releasing new versions of the games, Virtua Fighter 2 came out for the Genesis and the Saturn, I believe, and also the 32X and the Sega CD, some weird combination like that. Came out on so many different consoles, and all of that was in the early to mid 90s. And since then, they've only gone into Virtua Fighter 5. But even Street Fighter, they're only at like 4 right now. So it's kind of ridiculous that there's so many fighting games, yet there's only, say, 5 of Virtua Fighter. There are many other spin-offs and games in between, but yeah. Anyways, I'm rambling with that. Let me just show you guys the last two games I have here. Both of these I pretty much purchased them because I had them pre-ordered, and at the time I was grabbing everything. And I haven't really enjoyed these games as much for two different reasons, and I'll get into it. So first is Killer is Dead. It had an interesting collection, an interesting set of bonuses in this collector's edition. It has the game itself and a pretty interesting art book. It also had a music CD that was kind of decent, and it is a sort of spiritual successor to No More Heroes, which I did enjoy, and I thought I'd enjoy this as well. And the other game that I suppose is my biggest regret in purchasing is Final Fantasy XIV Online: A Realm Reborn. It's the collector's edition. Even though it comes with some really nice bonuses, I was just, I don't know, I wasn't too into the idea of actually paying month to month to play this game online. It was kind of stupid that I purchased this in the first place because it is an online game. But after the hassle of first getting connected and then after a month being told that, like, hey, you have to pay like $15, $16 to continue playing the game, I was like, you know what, I'm done with this. I paid $80 for this thing. It was terrible that I paid $80 for this, and now it sells for like $15, and it's barely been a year since this game came out. And it's already available on the PS4 and the Xbox One as well, I think. Or just the PS4. Anyways, those are all my PS3 games. As always, leave comments in the comment section below. Anything you'd like to say, comments, questions, suggestions, ideas, anything at all will be appreciated, and I'll get back to you as soon as I possibly can. Also, as I've said throughout the video, if there's any games that you think I should bump up on my list of games to play next, please let me know, and I'll try my best to sort of put your thoughts into consideration. Check out my 300 subscribers contest. It'll be linked in the description below. Check out my Facebook, Twitter, website. They're all also linked in the description below. And that's about it. See ya.